In here, and we are going to create a robot in Autodesk Sketchbook, and we are going to use the shape tools to do this. Okay, and so I'm here on Google just looking up some robot shapes and just getting an idea for what I could create. And so if you want to do this before you start, I would suggest you do this and keep it simple. Okay, so just squares and rectangles and circles. That's the kind of robots we're going for, right? We're going to keep this simple today. All right, so let me open up. Here is one I have created in here. I used the glow tool to make his eyes glow, but we're just going to keep this simple, nice and easy shapes. And so let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and save him real quick. He's going to be robot number 2. I've already made one robot. I do love using Sketchbook. I have not seen this before. I'll rate you later. All right, so new sketch, like I just said, and let me show you the size you're going to look for here. We want to rotate this. Make sure I don't have a different size ready. We want to rotate this so we have a longer sketch, and that's a little bit too long. So what I want to do is I'm going to shrink this down to 1500. That'll do. And so that's more like a your standard portrait size paper, okay? And so let me go to my default layout just so everybody kind of knows where I started from with my tools. My camera here so I can move my screen. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus today's lesson on the shapes. All right, right here under the shape category, which is in your top menu bar under the overlap circle square. When I click that, I'm going to get a line, a circle, and a square option. Sorry, I guess they call this rectangle. And these 3 tool markers, I can make pretty much most shapes this way. And so I'm going to start with my square shape. Eventually, actually, let me click off of this for a second. Let's talk about the tool real fast. And so the tools that you are selected on will be the mark that makes this shape. And so if you use an airbrush, you're going to get an airbrush line. And so just make sure you're paying attention to that today. And I'm going to pick the trusty inking pen. And just so you know where inking pen is, it's in your basic category box under brush library. Where did I find brush library? I get that question a lot. It is over here. 1 line, 3 dots, brush library. If that's confusing, come over here to UI toggle, and you can always get your brush library right here. And so ink brush, basic category. Okay, and so I'll make this go away. And when I make a mark, I need to have my box selected and opened. And then let me show you what happens here. I'm going to open up these parameters, these brush properties real quick. And so we're going to go bigger brush. We're going to talk opacity now. Let me pick a color you can see better, about green. And so when I make a mark on my paper, I will get the shape, the size, and the opacity of my tool. So opacity is how see-through something is. So you see when I make that, it kind of lightens the quality of the color, but it's more than just a lighter color. This is more than just saturation. This creates a overlapping ability with this color to create this kind of transparent effect. Now you might want this to happen at some times in your art, but we don't want this to happen with this line. And so we want to make sure that our opacity today is 100% so we do not have that darkening overlapping effect. We don't want that to happen today, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw what is going to basically be a coloring book page that then we'll go in and add color to. And so I don't want that quality. So I'm going to clear my layer, and just so you know how to clear a layer, you have to have the selected layer you want clear, and then hit the clear button. Boom, gone. And so today's tool color, I want black for my lines, so I'll pull that all the way down to the bottom corner. And then, well, how big was that? That's a little big. Let's go smaller. Undo that. That's pretty good. I'll go just a bit smaller. That's good. All right, And so we are ready to start. Ink tool, size, opacity 100%. And now I'm ready to make a, you know what, I think I want a square head. I like that rectangle head. Let's see how much paper I'm taking up here. I can always undo this and adjust again. All right, so there's a square head. He's going to have a rectangle neck and a rectangle body. And I think I might do something different for the legs on this one. He's going to have a circle eye. I like them when they're not perfectly symmetrical for my robots, but you make your robots whatever shapes and sizes you want, whatever kind of symmetry you want. If you want it to be the same on both sides, you can do that. And then let's see, for his mouth, I'm going to go kind of a skinnier, longer rectangle. Okay. And then I'm going to get the line tool out for his antenna. So right there, that'll do. And then I want just a little circle up there. I want it a little more squished. There it is. All right, I like that. Okay, now for the next part, I'm going to do a little free drawing just for this part. And so I want to unselect these tools. And then I'm going to talk about the stroke stabilizer because I'm going to need it. So when I'm going to add a little attachment point for his ear. And you can see that's not too bad, but it's a little bumpy. And so I can improve that. So when I hit the stabilizer, watch what happens when I let go. So it kind of straightens it out a bit. I'll show you over here. No stabilizer, stabilizer. So stabilizer kind of helps just kind of sure up your line a little bit. It's just a subtle effect, but it does help. So I'm going to use it. Okay. I'm going to take that stroke stabilizer off because the next part is going to be these springy antennas. All right. I like that. And then for his mouth, you could do the line tool. This is one way I do make mouths sometimes my robots. I'll get the line tool. I can go kind of zig and zag like that. And you can do your mouth like that. That's fun. That's fine. But for this guy, he's going to have more of this kind of wave effect. Like when you record sound, you get this kind of bouncy line. And so that's what his mouth's going to look like. There we go. That will do. And so let's go ahead and make some arms. Now, when I make my robot arms, I think about their attachment points definitely first. However, then I might think about what kind of job this robot might have, and that might determine the type of arms that they need. If they need a certain tool for an arm, they might need that shape or that certain look for your robot. Mine is going to be a Lost in Space robot. And there's this cartoon, there's a TV show called Lost in Space, not the new one. The new one has a different type of robot, and he's kind of a little scary. But the old version had this robot with these wavy arms that kind of bounced around everywhere. And so I'm going to do that. And I like the claw. And so I just do two little curves right here, and I go in the middle and just bring that out. Okay, and I need to make sure that these lines, there's no gaps. If you see a little gap, let me just show you what that could look like. If I create a line and there's this hole right there, that's going to let my color escape, and I don't want that. And so make sure that these are closed shapes. See that right there? We want to make sure those are closed shapes. That's very important for our fill tool we're going to use later. right, he's going to have a wavy arm. I'm thinking, how about down? That. And then you could do any kind of hand, really. It doesn't have to be a claw hand. I could do any shape will work. Just make sure your shapes are completely closed, because if they're not, you're going to see what happens. When you go to fill these in, your color is going to spill out everywhere, all over the place, and that's going to be a problem for you. It's an easy fix, but it is something you'll have to deal with. Now for my robot arms, I'm going to give him these little curved lines just to kind of make his arms feel a little more slinky-like. So I'm making sure that there are no gaps that would let my color bleed over. We don't want that. So very particular. My lines are connected. All right, there's one arm. It's kind of got these vacuum hose arms. That's maybe the best way to describe it. Let me zoom in here, make sure I'm getting those connections. Now, you do not have to do this to your arms. You could color your arms solid. Your arms could just be springs like this. That's fine. Maybe we'll do that with the legs so I can show you how that looks. If you've ever seen the movie Robots, that's a good place to get some inspiration for your robot designs. All right, and then I said we'll try that little, so let's give him a little bump here, and then we'll give him some spring legs. He's a jumping robot. And then for his feet, let's just give him a little curve. That's not big enough. Let's go bigger. That's better. Just curving to meet my spring, and then come back around. And I can attach that if I need to. Make those attachments right there if I need to. All right. Okay, now let's do some button panels. So back to the shape tool. I'm going to use a rectangle. Oh, I can tell my paper. See my paper angle? It's important when you're making a shape you want to be straight. You want a 0 angle on this. And so I'll do a little panel here. Do a little longer panel there. Right here. Here, kind of match that one right there. All right, and now I'm going to go in even smaller. We'll do other buttons. Oh, you know what? I think my lines are too thick. So I'm going to make my size as small as this will go. Just for the inside buttons. That'll help. And some circle buttons. And maybe some long buttons. Okay. And then we'll make some longer. I'm just making this up as I go. And maybe some of these right here. One big one there. One big one there. Okay. Let's do more like a grid. Let's do more of a grid on this one. And you could do a grid with the line tool. That's probably the better tool to use for a grid. There we go. This one will be a grid too. All right. And that neck's feeling a little empty now, so I'm going to go back to the square tool, and I'm going to use the rectangle tool to make the stripes. Okay, so you can just see the different tools, same end game here. So you just got to kind of figure out which one works best for you. All right, so now it's time for color. I could go on and on with details on this robot, but you need to create your own version in your own way. Okay, and so I'll show you how to color this though. Oh, looks like I've created 2 layers. No problem though. So I started on this layer, but then I finished on this layer, and that is an easy fix. And some people like it this way if you want to color separately, but all I need to do is I just select my layer, find those little dots right there, and see where it says merge with below. There we go. And now they're both one layer. And now I'm ready to color. And I think I'm going to start with my robot's kind of underlying gray tones first. And so right at the edge of any color box, you're going to get your grays. So this is darkest gray to white, right? And this is gray to black. And then the other side is your actual color. Right, so I'm going to go just a light gray. Make sure I'm on my fill bucket. And then there's 3 different types of fills. You have your radial fill, you have your linear fill, and then this is just your solid fill. I would suggest solid fill for today, but any of them will do. All right, and then as connections, let's get those same color. Okay, and then I'm going to give them a kind of striped. I like this striped quality on the appendages. We will see if I missed any connections here. What you'll end up doing is it'll leak over and fill all the spaces around. An easy fix. You just have to go in there with the eraser and fill the tool in better. All right, and then for his arms, I'm going to go dark gray for his, or sorry, not his arms, his hands. Other, a little darker, just a little darker. His color is going to come with his buttons. But by all means, if you want your robot to be purple and green and any color on the rainbow, go for it. See, you can do purple head, blue head, whatever you want. All right, now for the buttons, I'm going to do just a slightly darker gray than the body, just for the back panel. See that? The rest will be buttons colors. And so let's go with some green buttons. We'll start green. Whoops. Right there. That's not bright enough. Let's go brighter. More saturation. So just kind of bopping around here. Just making this up. Let's do, whoops, I keep touching my screen in wrong spots. We'll do red buttons here. And then we'll do yellow and orange. This one will be blue. Blue, blue, yellow, red buttons. These ones will be a little more colorful. I guess it's all kind of colorful, but more variety of color. Let's see, there's some yellow down in there. There we go. And his eyes, I'm thinking yellow for his eyes. And, oh, I forgot those grays. I can always pull a color by using my eyedropper tool. See, I can then pick that exact color I wanted. and go back to it. Now for the mouth, I'm thinking some green. That's not green. There we go. Get your saturation right. Okay, and then for his feet, I'm going to go blue. All right. And his antenna, we'll go red. Okay. Now for the background of my robot, I can keep it white. I'm fine with white. I can go a different shade. Or you can build a background on a new layer. Okay, hit new layer. You can hide your robot for the moment, and then you can create a background if you would like. I am not going to do that, but I just want to show you that you can do that. Okay, and so I'm going to, go back to white on my background. There we go. And I want to give you another option here. And so the next option I would suggest is the glow brush. And the glow brush, I do suggest maybe a separate layer above, but this can work on the same layer. But I'm going to go above just so this looks like a glow on top of what I'm already looking at. And so what I need to do is then open my brush library. I'm going to go down to the glow section, and I'm going to get the glow brush. I'm going to pick the color, what I'm already looking at here. So I'm just, once again, using my color picker. I'm going to make this big. All right, and I'm going to just I'm just tapping the glow just to create a little haze. See that? Same with the green. I'm going to color pick that green. I need to make my brush much smaller for this spot. Maybe a little bigger than that. I'm just kind of tapping my brush to create this kind of hazy glow. Let's get that antenna. All right, so color pick that antenna. I'm going to do this side and just kind of tap in until I get a nice glow. If I overdo it, I can always undo it. I'm going to really push this one. Let's make that one glow. See that? With the glow brush, you start out a color, and then the more you rub, the more you get. See that? And so that is affected by flow. And so I can affect how quickly that happens with flow. See that? Flow is really low. Didn't happen so much. I'll undo. I'll turn the flow all the way up. So you can see I can get, the more I press, then you can get this kind of glow effect. This is great for city lights on your cityscapes. Go back here and get all these greens. What size? Big. Oh, that's too big. Take my flow down. I'm just going to tap out just a little hint of glowing on each one of these. You don't want to necessarily overdo this. You can easily overdo it, but maybe you want to overdo it. So shrink the size a bit for these smaller buttons. That's too small. That's too big. Just right. Some red over here. Let's do the blue glow. Just tap. Yellow glow. Oh, that's too much. Too much. Bring the flow down. All right. So there's our fun little robot. Play around with the tools and come up with your own version of this. I'll open up a couple more just so you can get an idea of some other ones I have done. We'll say robot 3. Let's open up. Robot 2 has green eyes, so you can kind of get an idea. So have fun with this. Make a robot using the shape tool and see where it takes you.